Good morning, ladies. This is the video that is going to give you the answers to homework number 14. Yesterday, we went over the answers to homeworks numbers 12 and 13, and I actually gave you the answers to 1 and 2, but I'm going to start over at number 1 again, just in case somebody didn't catch those. But if you need homework answers to 12 and 13, you need to go back to the recorded session from yesterday. So let's go. Homework 14, number 1. In what two ways did Stuyvesant expand New Netherland? Well, there were two different ways. First, he expanded into what is now New Jersey. And second, he expanded New Netherland into what was then New Sweden, which is now Delaware. Number 2, A. Who was the English king at the time, and why did he declare war on Holland? Well, the king was King Charles of England, and he declared war on Holland because he thought that the Dutch colony was preventing English colonies from expanding. 2B. Who was the king's brother, and what had he told him? What had the king told his brother? The king's brother was James, Duke of York, and he told him that he could have the Dutch colonies if he could seize them. And so that gave him a lot of incentive to take them over, if he could take them for himself. Number 3, why did Stuyvesant have to give up the colony in 1664? Well, the English warships sailed into the harbor at New Amsterdam, but the Dutch settlers refused to fight. And so he basically had to give up. He had to surrender the colony to England. 4A, so what did the English do to New Netherland and New Amsterdam, the capital? Well, they split up New Netherland into the present names of New Jersey and New York, and New Amsterdam became New York City. That's where New York City came from. 4B, what did the Duke of York do with New Netherland? Well, he gave New Jersey and part of New York to John Berkeley and George Carteret. 5A, which new group that had two different names settled in New Jersey? Well, the group was originally referred to as the Society of Friends, but they were also more commonly and more popularly known as the Quakers, and they settled in New Jersey. 5B, what did the Quakers believe about people and about violence? Well, they believed that all people were equal and basically good. In terms of violence, they believed that violence was always wrong, and so they refused to carry guns or even to fight. And they believed that all problems could be solved peacefully. 5C, why were they treated poorly in England? Well, it had to do with why their feelings about violence. They refused to fight for the king. And if you refuse to fight for the king, well, chances are you're not going to be treated very favorably. Number 6A, why did the English king give a charter to William Penn? Well, King Charles II, King Charles, owed a debt to William Penn's father, and so he gave the charter to William Penn for that. 6B, what did he want to call the new colony, and that was William Penn? Well, he wanted to call it Sylvania, which means woods. Now, we know that it ultimately became Pennsylvania, and so why was it called Pennsylvania? King Charles asked for it to be called Pennsylvania to honor Penn's father. So it really became, since Sylvania means woods, it became Penn's Woods. 7A, what 3 important individual rights did Penn include in his frame of government? Well, the 2 freedoms were the freedom of speech and the freedom of worship, and the third was a trial by jury, which was one of your vocabulary terms. 7B, how did Penn earn the respect of the Delaware Indians? Well, he met with them, and he paid them for most of the land that the king had actually given him. And so the king had taken Delaware Indian land and given it to Penn. Penn sat down with them and said, look, that's not fair. I'm going to pay you for that land. and so he earned their respect. 7C, what did his frame of government provide for in Pennsylvania and in Delaware? So in both different places, he created general assemblies, which allowed them to make laws for the colonies. Number 8, why did farmers in the Middle Atlantic colonies depend on market towns? Well, they depended on market towns because those were places where they could trade their livestock, they could sell or trade surplus farm produce, and where they could get goods and services. So number 9, what 4 businesses were often found in market towns? Well, they were the general store, where they could buy goods like tools and cloth and shoes, stockings and buttons. The cobbler's shop, which was where shoes were made and repaired. The grist mill, which was where the grain was ground into flour and in meal. And the sawmill, where the logs were sawed into lumber. And finally, number 10, what was it about the Middle Atlantic colonies that led to the Great Awakening? So the Great Awakening was a rebirth in the feelings about religion. What it was about the Middle Atlantic colonies that led to that was that they welcomed people of different religions. Their towns often had more than one kind of church. Sometimes right within the same town, they would have a Presbyterian church, a Methodist church, and even a Quaker meeting house. And so those are the answers to homework 14. So along with homeworks 12, 13, and now 14, you have all the material that you need for the quiz number 4 that begins tomorrow. And so I want you to take some time today to go through your notes, get familiar with them, so that when you come across a question tomorrow, you'll know what the answer is. You'll know where to find it quickly. You do have one journal entry today, and so besides the journal entry and making sure you have all the correct answers, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.